Hello, my name's Gary Mansfield, and this is the Ministry of Arts podcast, where each week I'll be talking to a different artist. Now let's begin by banging these bongos.
Yeah, right. Crazy.
Hello and happy 2020 to you all. There's going to be a few changes going on this year, and this bonus episode is being put out just to make you aware of a couple of them. I'll kick off by mentioning the Christmas crossover episode, which was recorded with myself, the Artfully podcast, the Artproof podcast, and the Delphian Gallery podcast. It went down really well. I got some great feedback, some good love on Instagram, and a warm welcome to those that have started listening off the back of it. So firstly, the rebranding of the MizogArt Podcast. It's being renamed to fall in line with some other projects that we've got coming together this year. So I created the Ministry of Arts to bring them all together under one roof, as it were. We've got a newly formed Instagram page, so if you could go over and follow that would be great. It's ministryofarts.org. And the new website, which is ministryofarts.org, was due to be up and running by the end of February, although that's looking more like it's going to be brought forward 3 or 4 weeks. Now, just to give you a little backstory, I created the Ministry of Arts after a meeting I had with Ben Berlin of Logan Sinclair, which is a recruitment company in the city, after we were talking about putting on exhibitions for charities, namely the Face Value show that I do every year with Lee Ainsworth. Ben thought it might be possible that we could put these exhibitions into the workplace of his asset management clients in the city. And the more I thought about those exhibitions, the more I realised we could create so much more here. So the ideas that developed, whether it be through Ben and I, or Lee Ainsworth and I, or whomever and I, rather than have several things all running independently, just build a creative hub as a foundation for them all. Hence the Ministry of Arts. Now, unfortunately, since I come up with this idea 6 or 7 months ago, Ben has had to shut down the creative arm of his company, which the Ministry of Arts was going to fall under. But all is not lost. We're going to be organising a few meetings this month to try and discover the best course of action. If you've been listening to this podcast for some time, you'll be aware of my Face Value exhibitions. They are very unique and involve 50, 60 artists at a time. One half donating an artwork, the other half manipulating the artwork. Now, when the concept was first developed, the Katie Piper Foundation were the benefactors of all sales. Now, that was meant to be just a one-off show, but Katie and her team told us about their vision to open up their very own burn centre. And Lee and I, as well as many of the other artists involved, wanted to try and be a small part of making that happen. So we created Face Value 2 in 2018 and Face Value 3 in 2019. And in that time, the Katie Piper Foundation brought that Burns unit to fruition. And during the short time it's been open, I wouldn't even like to think how many lives it's helped rebuild. So Lee and I have gone back to the initial plan of creating a Face Value exhibition every year to benefit a different charity. So we spoke to Dario down at Jealous, and he's all up for a Face Value 4. And we've been in talk with the charity Help Refugees about being its benefactor. So all I have to sort now is the funding, and we're up and going. I'm already lined up for several talks this year. Although I do find them quite challenging, they are equally rewarding. And for myself, this year, I'll be drawing up the plans for my biggest project yet, which I'm looking at opening in the latter part of 2021. And if that wasn't hard enough, for the last couple of years, I've been testing the waters with people from different sectors about a little bit of legislation that relates to the basis of everything I do as an artist. Now, this bit of legislation that I won't go into at the moment is age-old and affects tens of thousands of people in our communities. I've always wanted to do something about it, but I've never really had the balls to do it. So I took the leap last year and contacted one of the leading campaign lawyers in the country. And after reading the points that I put forward, he agreed it needs changing. The only way to get this specific thing changed in Parliament is through a major campaign. I've been advised what is necessary and been made aware of various routes that I can take. And after doing a little bit of research over the last few weeks, I'm going to be contacting him to tell him that I'm about to put the wheels in motion and get this thing rolling. Well, that's about it for this bonus episode. Things will be back to normal on Monday with episode 58 of the Ministry of Arts podcast. So, thanks again for listening. And like I said, please follow Ministry of Arts Org on Instagram, and all the very best for 2020. So until next week, ta-da.